They think you're harmless. They think you're soft, easy, unarmed. They misread your silence as surrender. They confuse your patience with passivity. And here's the genius. You let them. That's your first quiet strike. In a world that fears loud confidence and punishes visible dominance, there is a strategy older and sharper than any blade: being underestimated. When they think you're not a threat, they stop preparing for impact. When they think you're weak, they start speaking freely, exposing weaknesses, showing you their hands. And by the time they realize what you are, it's already too late. This isn't theory. This is war psychology. This is the art of appearing irrelevant until you're in a position to flip the table entirely. Why does being underestimated give you that kind of power? Because most people are too loud, too eager to be admired, too desperate to be seen. They spend their energy performing strength, trying to prove they matter, all while revealing their insecurities in plain sight. But you don't. You move differently, quietly, intentionally. You let them believe you're nothing, so you're free to become anything. You've seen it happen at work, in relationships, in social circles. Someone rolls their eyes at you, interrupts you, skips over you. You become invisible, but not absent, not inactive. You are coiled, measuring, learning, waiting. And that moment when they laugh at you, that's the moment they lose, because that laughter blinds them. And you already know where to strike. Never underestimate the one who says nothing. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. In a world of kings and traitors, the loud ones were watched, the dangerous ones were hunted, but the silent one, the soft one, the one they forgot about, he had all the room he needed to maneuver, to plan, to win. You've been taught that strength must be displayed, that you have to prove your power to be taken seriously. But that's not power. That's insecurity on a loudspeaker. Machiavelli knew something most people still can't grasp. True power is invisible until it's irreversible. Power is perception. And if you are seen as fragile, others relax around you. They open up. They overshare. And you sit with your quiet. You stay unreadable. And in that silence, you start building the empire no one sees coming. Let them believe you're kind to a fault. Let them think you're too insecure to act, too ordinary to matter. That is not weakness. That is cover. There's something dangerous about being invisible in plain sight. You walk into a room and no one takes you seriously. That's the setup. Because while they perform, while they boast, while they try too hard, you gather intelligence. You gather silence. You gather leverage. Then when the timing is right, you move. Clean, final, undeniable. Most people are addicted to exposure. They announce their dreams, their plans, their ambitions, hoping someone will notice. But all they do is hand out the blueprint to their own downfall. Machiavelli wouldn't just caution you, he would laugh at that desperation. He would say, don't announce your strength. Let them assume you have none. Then take everything when their backs are turned. Being underestimated takes discipline, because your ego wants to be seen. Your pride wants to shout. But that's the trap. You either feed your ego or you build your power. You don't get to do both. Think of a time you held back and later it paid off. Think of a moment when someone underestimated you and you didn't correct them. You just watched. And when the time came, your silence hit harder than a scream ever could. If that moment exists for you, you're already on the right path. And if this is resonating, if you feel that deep burn of having been dismissed one too many times, hit subscribe to The Mind's Mirror. This channel is your space now, your sanctuary of sharp thought and quiet transformation. And in the comments, tell us, when did someone underestimate you and you let them? until you didn't. Let's keep going, because here's where it gets psychological. When people constantly misread you, you begin to doubt yourself. You wonder if they're right. Maybe you're not that impressive. Maybe you're not that smart, that strong, that capable. And that's the real danger. Not being underestimated by others, but by yourself. That internal doubt, that's the virus that kills legacies before they begin. But let me make this clear. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be undeniable. Let them speak. Let them mock. Let them think they figured you out. That's their weakness, their addiction to certainty. You are uncertainty. You are silence with a pulse, calm with claws, softness with teeth. And every time they try to read you, they will fail. Because they're not looking at you. They're looking at what they hope you are: small, safe, slow. They think you're harmless. Let them. Because every time they laugh, every time they look past you, every time they assume you're incapable, they're investing in a version of you that never existed. They're betting on your silence being surrender. They have no idea that behind that silence is strategic patience. A kind of focus that doesn't blink. A mind that tracks every detail. That's the secret. When they think you're no threat, they stop defending themselves. And when they drop their defenses, they expose everything. So don't correct them. Don't try to explain yourself. The moment you explain, you step out of control and into performance. The moment you try to prove your worth, you give them power. Let them believe the wrong thing. Their assumption is your invisibility cloak. Because here's the hard truth. You can't be underestimated and overexposed at the same time. Power lives in mystery, not chaos, not drama, mystery. When they don't know who you are, what you're thinking, what you're planning, they start to guess. They start to stumble. That's when your silence becomes terrifying. You've seen it in action. You say nothing, and someone keeps talking, trying to fill the space. They reveal too much. They try too hard. That's them unraveling. Because you gave them nothing to control, and people panic when they can't predict you. You say no and don't explain. That no hits harder than a lecture. You walk away without flinching, and they realize you are never as dependent as they assumed. This is what dominance looks like in its purest form. No need for approval. Your silence is not empty. It is packed with information, packed with restraint, packed with a decision. I will not let you write my story. Let them think you're behind. Let them think you're confused. Let them think you're weak while you build in silence, while you prepare your next move, while you let their assumptions become their blindfold. Because when it's time, you strike, not for revenge, for position, for freedom, for the empire you've been building behind the curtain. This is not about being cruel, it's about being unshakable. Machiavelli said the fox avoids the trap, the lion frightens the wolves. You must be both. Your silence is the fox, your timing is the lion. And when the moment comes to speak, to move, to act, you will not need noise. You will not need applause. Because power that is real never arrives with fanfare. It arrives like gravity, unarguable, absolute. So the next time you're tempted to explain yourself, pause. When someone underestimates you, smile. Because you've chosen the longer road, the one without external validation, the one that doesn't clap for every small move, but the one that leads to something undeniable, unshakable, permanent. That's the quiet attack. That's when silence becomes a storm they never saw coming. You don't need to be loud. You need to be lethal. And the most lethal people in the room are never the ones shouting. They're the ones listening, thinking, planning. The ones you forget until it's too late. Let this be your edge. Let this be your rise. Let them think you're soft until you hit harder than anyone expected. Let them think you're slow until you move with precision they can't react to. Let them think you're average until your work dismantles everything they thought was secure. And when it happens, don't gloat. Don't explain. Just move forward while they stand frozen in the aftermath of their own blindness. That's what makes you unstoppable. You don't beg for space. You take it without noise. You don't fight for attention. You disappear until your presence becomes undeniable. You don't argue to be respected. You become too powerful to ignore. So if they think you're harmless, good. That means they'll never see it coming. And when your moment arrives, there won't be a warning, only silence, and then impact. If this spoke to you, if you're done explaining yourself and ready to build in silence, subscribe to the Mind's Mirror. This space is for thinkers, for strategists, for the underestimated. Leave a comment with one word. Unseen. If you know what it means, you're already halfway there. Let them sleep on you. Let them misread you. Then show them what a quiet revolution looks like. Because once they think you're no threat, you become the most dangerous person in the room.